Now, Kenneth Hagin, talking about short-term burdens, he spoke about and I believe this, and it gives an explanation to reasons why some people question God. He said he had a mentor at that particular point in time by the name of Gerald Goodwin. And he told a story that Gerald Goodwin, they were pastoring a church with his wife. And one morning at about 1 a.m., Gerald Goodwin woke up and saw his wife travailing, and she was travailing in pain. And after she stopped, he said, "What's going on?" She said, "I'm burdened about something." And so he joined her in prayer, and they were travailing and travailing. And after some time, they got a release. So they knew inside themselves that there was something that wanted to happen that was averted. So they said in the morning, they called a few people and asked, "Are you going through anything?" People, they just thought naturally, and all of them said, no, wait, there's nothing, we're cool. I said, "All right, no problem." About a week after, this person who was a member of their church came to see them and said, I need to tell you a testimony. They said, "What happened?" He said about 3:30 a.m. on the day they were traveling, he said, "I had a dream. I just want to tell you. And in the dream, I went to work. And my boss was wearing a particular kind of shirt. It was red in color. And then he told me it was a construction site, that I should go up and go and fix something at the top. So I obeyed him and I went to the top, and an equipment tripped off and sliced off my head in the dream, and I woke up." He said, "So I went to work the next morning, and my boss was wearing the exact shirt I saw in the dream. And I left it. Then he said, 'Can you help me go up? There's something wrong up.'" He told the boy, he said, "Sir, I'm not going anywhere." Now, please hear this. The boss said, "You mean why?" He said, "I had a dream. I saw you in this shirt. You told me to go up. I went up. The equipment fell, cut my head off. Every part of this dream has been fulfilled. Apart from me going up, I am not going up." The boss said, "You must be very superstitious. I didn't know you were like this." So there was another chap there who was a deacon in a church, born again. He said, "So yeah, this is superstitious." He went up. The exact thing he said happened to that chap, and he went down. Now, I believe in my heart that if anything is going to go wrong in the life of a Christian, God looks for somebody to place the burden on. Now, all these things we say, what happened? God searched, and I want to show something. He searched. He tried to look for a person who he could place. You see, when we were in school, I remember a long time, there's a person in Kaduna, some of you may know him. He's called Reverend Tunde Bolanta. He was pastoring in the University of Ibadan. And we lost somebody under certain circumstances, and he entered into the room, the executive room. We're all executives. He said, "What are you guys doing?" He said, "How did you miss this in the spirit? How did you guys miss it? Who are the leaders? How did you miss it?" And I never forgot that conversation. You three wanted Mary Hall. How did you miss it? How did you miss it? That look, nothing happens without God first of all looking. So the issue is, why don't we pick up these burdens? Why don't we pick it up when it happens? Why don't people sense it? The reason is that because God seeks for somebody. Now we think in our minds that God is all powerful, and therefore God can just do what he wants to do whenever he wants to do it. And once it doesn't happen, it's not God. Now think about this. God's redemption plan was centered on Jesus. He brought his only begotten son into the earth, centered on Jesus. This is make or break. He must succeed. Jesus was born. Herod picked it up. Herod said, "I'm going to wipe out everybody under the age of 2. God knew what was coming. God went to meet Joseph. God, all powerful, that could send angels, said, "Joseph, take my son. Take this boy. Go out and run and go and hide in a certain place." Why didn't God, with all power, say, "If they born you well, Herod, come"? You know, that's how we will see that God should operate. Surround him with angels. Now, therefore, before God brought Jesus into the earth, he had to make sure it was the right person that would be the father. Because he had to be a responsive person to him, which means somebody, if we come to him and tell him do something, he's going to be responsive. And we have to get to the place where we start getting responsive to the things of the Spirit, because God is searching, looking for who is the person or the people there that I can place these things on, and they will respond, all right, to that particular thing there. So he calls us to do this. Why don't we get it? Luke chapter 21 and verse 34. He tells us this in Luke 21:34. He says, "But take heed unto yourselves, lest at any time you be weighed down," all right, with carousing. One translation says, KJV says, surfeiting. And what that means is, one of the definitions is overeating, all right, and drunkenness, and the cares of this life, so that that day comes upon you unawares. In other words, we can get so entrapped in the daily activities of life, in the normal things, what I will eat, what I will drink. All of our prayers are centered upon that. Can you imagine in the day in which the flood was coming? The Bible says people were marrying and being given in marriage, people were doing this. Whether you had a good business or you had a bad business, the flood carried you. Whether you just got a promotion the day before, a promotion like that, the flood carried you. In other words, the important thing was that God wanted to communicate that something actually is coming, and he needs people to respond to that.